make a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word you fling.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Nick Atkin on SCMP MMA. This is South China Morning Post post-fight. And today I got a very special guest. It's none other than the legendary Randy Couture. Randy, how's everything going, man?
Going well here.
Randy, I just got to ask you, though. I heard you were in an ATV accident with Mindy. Is everything okay? How are you feeling now? Are you recovering?
Yeah, everything's okay now. We're both a little boogered up there. I broke my left shoulder and some ribs, punctured a lung. Mindy broke 3 transverse processes off her lower vertebrae and her lower back. So we're both pretty sore, but we're back up running, moving around, getting around better now, and taking care of the pain, basically. So obviously both thankful that neither one of us were injured more seriously. It was just kind of a silly accident. My hat blew off as I was coming down my driveway from the neighbor's house, and went to turn around to go get the hat and ran into a fence post in the dark. So kind of stupid.
It's just crazy, isn't it? Given everything that happened this year with the pandemic, and then I guess you must be so glad to finally get the gym back open, and then just having a freak accident like that. We want this year to end, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to hurt my feelings to see 2021 roll in here for sure.
Yeah, and obviously one of the big things we're looking forward to, and I'm sure you're looking forward to in 2021, is going to be the return of the PFL after the season was cancelled this year. Yeah, how excited are you to get back into the swing of it with them?
Very excited. The first 2 seasons were remarkable. The finish rate with the fighters, the way the fighters stepped up, embraced the adversity of a very rigorous schedule, was very impressive. I think having 16 countries, represented in season 2 was an idea of just how diverse this group of fighters is and how much fun they are to watch. And the thing I love about it most is it's a meritocracy. Nobody's forced to talk smack or create publicity stunts or do anything like that. None of that's going to help you advance. You've got to go out in that cage and score points, win criteria points to get out of the regular season and into the postseason and a shot at that title each and every year. So I really like that.
And I guess that's one of the reasons it was cancelled, wasn't it? Because you guys didn't want to put on one-off events because it would have just not made sense with the format of the regular season and playoffs, right?
Exactly right. And you know what? I'll be honest. When I first saw that Dana White was pushing for this Fight Island stuff and trying to really kind of go against the grain, when we honestly didn't have a lot of information about COVID or any of this other stuff, I was like, man, what is he trying to do? That's just, it's silly. And then as more and more information come in, we saw what was really going on, what real numbers look like. I was actually happy that he pushed and got MMA back on as one of the first sports to actually hold live events. And obviously creating a bubble and jumping through all the protocols, I'm sure it was a major pain in the ass. I also agreed with Pete and the powers that be in the PFL for not trying to half-ass the season, do one-off events or anything. We spent a lot of time and energy developing this format, developing this platform, and it worked. The first 2 seasons were remarkable. So why would you want to go through a bunch of hoops and do a bunch of stuff that's not in line with that format that you've just spent so much time, energy, and money building? I think it made sense to call the season off, come back in 2021, and do it right. Do it the way it should be done.
Yeah, and I know you and Dana have your differences, but do you like what he's doing with Fight Island as well? I think UFC's just gone back there for another bunch of shows.
I mean, it's interesting. It's a long way to go as a fighter. That's a hell of a long journey for fighting. I think I think Manchester or Japan were the 2 longest trips I made for fights. I've been to Dubai one time, and that is a damn long ways away. So that's another layer of the onion as a fighter to prepare for that kind of travel, that kind of jet lag, all those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, he's putting on live events wherever he has to do them. And, they're doing a lot of those shows here at the Apex in Vegas, creating that bubble, quarantining everybody that's going to be involved, including the staff and the help and everybody else. So, testing those fighters 3 times going into that competition and testing them again before they can leave. It's a pretty remarkable protocol that they're requiring. but they're getting it done. And, I've had several Extreme Couture fighters fight on those cards and do very, very well. And certainly would much rather fight right here in Vegas after going through all that protocol than having to fly to Dubai and then go through all that. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I guess it gives the PFL a roadmap maybe for how to safely bring back events, and not just the PFL, but the other MMA organizations and other sports as well. So have the PFL been looking at how UFC have been testing and successfully putting these shows on?
Well, I guess we'll see what 2021 holds. And I suspect that a whole bunch of this stuff is contingent on this upcoming election in November, to be honest. And I think a whole bunch of it's going to miraculously disappear one way or the other after that election. There are a whole bunch of variables there too, though I don't even want to get into that. But we'll see what 2021 holds. And I think things are going to change. I think we're seeing some real numbers. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Without opening a whole can of worms with the political side of things and all the other stuff that's wrapped up in this COVID stuff, we'll see what happens in 2021.
Yeah, and you mentioned you had a few guys from your gym, Extreme Couture, have gone over to Fight Island. How is the gym since you've reopened? I think you were doing some renovations. How's it all going there?
Well, we did take advantage of the quarantine. We redid some floors, we did some walls. Ryan really got to work and renovated a bunch of stuff and made the place look a lot nicer and weather aware a lot nicer. So, we're happy to be back open, even in a limited capacity. We're at least treading water right now. And that's a tribute to Ryan and Eric. They've done a great job with our clientele, with our clients. And, obviously we can't just turn our memberships back on in full-blown capacity because we're not open in a full-blown capacity. So it's been a real challenge to kind of adapt, stay afloat, keep things going, keep the doors open, create the environment for the team that's safe where they can still train and get ready for these fights, and for our regular members that maybe don't ever want to get punched in the face, but definitely want to stay fit and sharpen the tools and keep everything going. So it's been a real challenge. And I tell you what, I'm very impressed and very proud of Ryan, the job that he's done taking over the gym and doing all the stuff that he's done in these unique times.
And what have you made of Francis Ngannou? He's one of your guys. He's knocking on the door now for another shot. How impressed have you been? And yeah, what do you think? Do you think he should be getting that next heavyweight shot in the UFC?
I tell you what, I've been very impressed with him. Very impressed with his work ethic. He was kind of in no man's land there for a little while the quarantine was going on. They were saying he was going to get a fight. He wasn't going to get a fight. Week in, week out, we opened up the gym so he could continue to get his training sessions in a private setting without exposing him to anything or any of our trainers to anything, because we just didn't know. They weren't sure they were going to get the fights on. They were on again. They were off again. It was a real challenge for him. And I'll tell you what, he stayed focused. He's really, really been working on his wrestling and his grappling. I've been very impressed with how far he's come with that. You put that together with that power and that athleticism that guy has, and that's a total package. He's going to be tough to deal with for anybody.
Yeah, and from one legend to another, you had Daniel Cormier retiring. What did you make of that? I mean, he's obviously a legend. Didn't get the belt back in his final fight, but where does he stand in the pantheon of heavyweight greats?
Well, he's absolutely one of the best. Obviously, him and I share a lot of heritage through the Oklahoma State Cowboys and taking our wrestling backgrounds and implementing them into mixed martial arts and fighting. And he did it as well as anybody. Soft-spoken, great guy, very articulate. I think you see that in his commentary, working where he's working, and I think he's got a bright future there. And it's such a personal thing. In your heart and in your mind what's going on, and if it's time to hang it up, then go out on your own terms. And I believe Daniel's done that. So good for him. I think that's a rare thing in today's society. You generally wait for a promoter or a doctor to tell you shouldn't do this anymore. It becomes such a huge part of your identity, of who you are. So good for Daniel making the decision he made. A lot of people questioning whether he's going to stick to that and come back. And I've been in those shoes too. So I support Daniel in whatever he wants to do. I just think he's a great guy. I'm a big fan of his. And, it's a shame to see him go out on a loss, but I've worn that mantle as well. I decided it was time to hang him up, win or lose or draw, and stuck to that. So I think Daniel's going to do the same.
Yeah, and another similarity between you guys, you're doing the commentary gig as well now with PFL. How have you found that transitioning into that?
Oh, I love it. I think, obviously I got to do it for a while for the UFC and for Fox. And that's one of the things I love transitioning over to PFL is because George Greenberg from Fox is the guy running the show for the PFL. And him and I work together at Fox, and he's a great man. I enjoy working for him. He brings the best out in me in a lot of ways. So he's in my ear, giving me clues, giving me ideas, and getting me to raise my energy levels, which I'm a low talker, which doesn't go so well for commentary sometimes. I'm excited to be on board and part of that team. Sean O'Connell's great to work with. He's a great lead man, and he tees me up really, really well. So I think we have a great camaraderie and friendship. The boost changed a few times over the course of the 3 years that I've been working with those guys. So, but I like where we're at. I like where we're headed, and it's been fun. I think we as fighters see things that the average fan doesn't recognize, and we get a chance to shed a light on that, and both technically, tactically in the cage when guys are fighting, but also weigh-ins, every other little thing there's so many nuances to this sport that fighters have privy to that the average fan doesn't see or doesn't recognize. So I feel that's something that guys like myself and Daniel Cormier there's a whole lot of them out there that are commentating and making that transition and doing a great job.
And what can we expect from the new season? Who should we be looking out for? I mean, I know I'm excited to see Rory McDonald in there because he didn't get a chance to show it last time. But what are your hopes, and who should we keep our eyes on?
Well, certainly Rory is one that we definitely want to watch. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete. Started at such a young age, and actually one of his first big shows was my retirement fight in Toronto, and he obviously he's Canadian, so that was a big deal for him. And we had to do some press conferences and stuff together, and it was fun. I enjoyed watching him grow and watching him flourish as an athlete. So it's going to be really cool to see how he deals with the adversity of this format in the PFL. Fighting a couple times in the regular season, turning around and fighting twice in one night in the semis and the quarterfinals and semis to get into that championship fight. And certainly a guy with as big a name as he's got, he's going to be dragging the target around on his back from day one. But I think he's going to handle it well. It's going to be fun to watch. Obviously, Kayla Harrison's another one that, just seen her win her first world championship in the PFL. Ultra dominant. I think she's finally starting to settle in, relax, realize that she doesn't have to be perfect all the time. She doesn't have to live up to the 2 gold medal standards in MMA. She can go out there, let things flow, dance with the one that brought her there, use that judo every chance she gets, and she's a blast to watch as well. Nathan Schultz, 2-time champ now. I mean, the list of these guys has been really fun to watch these guys flourish and really unfold before our eyes.
And you mentioned you only ever traveled to Manchester, or Japan was like the furthest you'd gone. I mean, I've spoken to Pete Murray, and he was saying that maybe they're going to expand PFL, thinking of doing some shows further away. Would you ever travel to go and commentate, say if they came over my way to China or anything like that?
Heck yeah. I love it. First of all, it's one of the perks of the sport of wrestling and the sport of mixed martial arts is it's taken me around the world. It's taken me to a lot of amazing places, sometimes just to sit in the gymnasium, but for the most part, it's been remarkable, the travel part of it. So even as a commentator, it certainly would be a lot easier for me as a commentator to go talk in some other country, in some other time zone, than it would be as an athlete to have to go compete in another time zone.
Well, hopefully the PFL comes nearer me because, I'm in Hong Kong, and they did promise me they're going to do some shows, so fingers crossed. But anyway, Randy, man, thanks for chatting. It's been a real honor, a real pleasure. Actually, I just wanted to get one final thing from you. Obviously, you were part of the legendary first season of Tough, and there's quite a fun fight this weekend. Diego Sanchez is going to fight Jake Matthews, and he's going to have Stephan Bonnar in his corner. I mean, yeah, just have you heard about this? What are your thoughts? It's quite funny given the argument about asparagus in the first season.
Yeah, I'm sure the asparagus is going to come up for sure. At the 15-year anniversary, it came up at dinner that night with all the guys back together. It was a really fun dinner. What an amazing group of guys. I mean, you look at that list of guys and what they've accomplished and how long they've endured from that first season of The Ultimate Fighter. And I don't think there's been a subsequent season after that had the quality of guys that we had in that first season. So, that'll be fun. Bonnar certainly not shy about stirring the pot. And Diego is going to take the bait. I guarantee it. So it's definitely going to be some fireworks and some fun. Diego's still competing at a very high level. He's got he may be a little psycho at times, but he's very physically capable. And when he gets it locked in, he's tough to deal with.
Yeah. You mentioned it there, like the first season was probably never been topped. Would you be interested in seeing the show come back, or do you think they should leave it?
I think everything runs its course. What they do, 22 seasons, I think, something like that. I mean, that's remarkable. That's a remarkable run for any reality show. I think it was unique. It was a great vehicle for us as a sport because a lot of people had a lot of misconceptions about who we are, why we do what we do. And to have a reality genre TV show, get behind the scenes, show the training, show the dedication, show all the character that each and every one of these guys has, it was a perfect storm. It was a great thing that I think in a lot of ways changed our sport forever and thrust us into the mainstream. So for that, I think we should all be thankful. It was a great group of guys, a fun experience for both Chuck and myself. We laugh about it sometimes to this day because there was some really funny stuff that went on then.
Yeah, and would you love to do something similar with PFL if you ever got the chance?
We did Fight Master with Bellator. We did one season. I thought it went remarkably well. It was different than Tough, but again, still some similarities there. You got a bunch of guys competing to stay in the show and all of that. I don't think the format's dead necessarily. Obviously, Tough ran for as long as it did. That's a pretty damn good run. So I wouldn't be opposed to hearing a pitch if the PFL comes up with a format or something that they think is viable and does a good job of highlighting the PFL athletes. I'd be all over that.
All right. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate your time today, and good luck with the recovery. Take care. Yeah, and can't wait to see you commentating again for the PFL.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Looking forward to it as well.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.